Buenos días. Es posible que durante el evento cambiemos de lengua. Voy a empezar en inglés porque no ha preparado en español. Tenía que traducir previamente para evitar el riesgo de no ser comprendido. Well, for me, it's just great to be here. It is my first time in FLACSO, actually my first time in Ecuador, and I thank so much for the organizers for this opportunity, especially Belén Albernoz and Carlos Espinosa, as well as Barbara Bonilla, who took care of the logistics. I will talk to you about actor network theory, or sociology of translation, as a practical tool to enter a dialogue between modern scientific knowledges and knowledges that are or have been established by other means. Many times people take ontology and epistemology as fields that are very distant from the practical realm. In order to be practical, however, one crucial point that I want to bring about is to problematize the radical epistemological difference that the so-called moderns, or the West, enact between knowledge and belief. I focus especially on scientific knowledge that is communicated as if it were universal and neutral, as representative of the reality as opposed to beliefs of non-Western people. This becomes especially relevant when there is conflict between scientific knowledges and laic, popular, or ancestral knowledge, especially in the so-called periphery or poor regions of the world. In Brazil, there is such a conflict between nutritionists and practitioners of a food complement for children, and we may talk about that tomorrow. In order to talk about ontology and epistemology and qualitative methodologies, I want to invite you to watch a short part of a movie, A Brilliant Mind, a romantic biographical adaptation of the Nobel Prize winner, John Nash. It's quite possible that you have seen these movies. It's just 2 minutes.
Thank you for that.
No, keep it. I believe in deciding things will be good luck. Do you?
No, I don't believe in luck. But I do believe in assigning value to things.
I once tried to count them all. I actually made it to 4,348.
You are exceptionally odd.
I bet you're very popular with girls.
A pair of odd ducks, then. Very shame.
What?
Take a sheep, an animal, anything.
This is essential.
Okay. An umbrella.
Well, they were able to see the paraguas, the umbrella in the sky. I invite you to think about the question, where is that form? Where is that umbrella? Or the Southern Cross? Where are the constellations? In the imagery of that couple? Certainly yes. For it is quite plausible that someone who had never seen an umbrella would not be able to identify that form in the sky. Is it only an imagination? Certainly not. That form can be photographed and provide reliable information, as you well know, for sailors, for instance. Is it there in the sky? In a certain way, yes, because we all agree that we can see it. However, the astronomic truth will also tell us that a star that we see next to another in the sky can be much further away than another one that we see far away in the horizon. Moreover, the Earth moves, and we may not be able to go on seeing that form, that umbrella, or the Southern Cross for much longer if we do not do something. Indeed, it may require a lot of work, eventually moving out of the planet. So we have to do something to keep that form stable. And it can happen, a topologist mathematician would certainly say, that a time may come when that form cannot be seen or can be seen from nowhere in the universe. So, where is that form? We can answer that the umbrella is neither in here nor out there, but that instead it happens in the encounter, in the coming across, in the coming upon, or more appropriately, in the relational assemblage that of many heterogeneous elements. The human eye, the material of the stars, how light behaves, the position of the earth, the idea of that one may have of an umbrella or a cross, etc. One may say in a first approach from an actor network theory that the background is a movement where some heterogeneous elements relate to configure provisionally stable forms that are clots in the flux. One may say, in a first approach to scientific knowledge, that provisionally stable relations among heterogeneous elements are obtained through the use of inscriptions, encounters of the flux, and laboratory instruments. This is contemporary technoscience. But Lavoisier also used inscriptions devices to configure his oxygen. However, what is more useful as a result from the actor network approach is that we can talk about the oxygen in the same terms that we can talk about democracy. This is because both the so-called natural and the social sciences establish their facts and laws, that is, the entities in their field of knowledge, in the same way, by juxtaposition of heterogeneous elements. In this way, both an institute of statistics and an electronic microscope are devices that produce inscriptions in their encounters with a yet formless flux. For instance, there are issues now in Brazil concerning racial and religious categories that are not on the Statistic Bureau questionnaire used in the census. Therefore, these categories will not show up in the configuration of the Brazilian population. in order to appear in this kind of photograph of the Brazilian population, it's necessary that, for instance, atheism be already present as a possibility in the questionnaire. In the same way, the possibility of the molecule photographed by the electronic microscope is already somehow embedded in the microscope. In actor network approach, we work each case having in mind flux, materiality, heterogeneity, and relations or juxtaposition. So all those entities that are on the title of my talk are provisionally stabilized juxtaposition of heterogeneous elements. They have no essence. A scientific proposition travels along, be it on the social sciences or on the natural sciences. And that's the point, the main point of this talk today. I'm not trying to present you actor network theory in its totality, let's say, because even the term totality would not make much sense in actor network theory. But I'm bringing this, I think, crucial aspect. Where am I now? So a scientific proposition travels along a continuum between fact and fiction, and is only provisionally stabilized as fact. The more a proposition gets used as a black box, the more it becomes a fact. The more it is historicized, the more one wants to know about its genesis, the more it is modified towards fiction. Actor network theory is a tool to overcome the great divisor that places in separate spheres knowledge about the world of things in themselves, or coisas em si, mundo de coisas em si, and knowledge about the world of men among themselves, hombres entre si. They are kept separate by the approach of knowledge construction of the West. You don't mix up nature and society. That's a basic rule. The great divisor teaches us that atom has nothing to do with democracy. And actor network theory will enable us to see how they relate in the specific places and times. Provocatively, actor network blurs the division between quantitative and qualitative methodologies. A shift towards the qualitative if one has to explain the numbers and the measurements in their specific cases in point. See, that's a kind of vicious behavior that we have. When we see a number, it becomes very objective. But many times, most of the times, the history of that number is not told. So if we go for the history of the number, we become qualitative. The number is a construction, and there are lots of decisions, ontological decisions, that are involved in the measurement process. And so we take the number as for instance, in the natural sciences, we take numbers as representative of nature. But actually, it's a version of nature that has been constructed with all the measurement methodology and instruments and machinery that comes with that number. And that is sort of erased when you are in the natural sciences. finally, more open questions for discussion. Rhizomes is a better metaphor for the construction of knowledge than structure. So we are here in a sort of post-structuralism and we can talk about lines of flight. So how do we handle our relations from the periphery with the West? The elite, usually in our countries, they believe that they are part of the West. Since we are Christians, there is a lot of influence, and we have been colonized by Europeans. But actually, we are part of the rest. You know, the West and the rest. And when you talk about Brazil or you talk about Ecuador in the West, in the center, we are not in the West. We are in the rest. They have this phrase, the West and the rest. I'm not saying anything xenophobic, but I'm saying that Actor Network brings a tool to handle this relation with the West, and especially with scientific knowledge presented by the West as universal and neutral. But it is actually European in its origin, and there is, from an Actor Network approach, there is no such a thing as universality in a knowledge. You know, the universality of the Western knowledge is a construction that was made in the whole planet. So it became something that all of us accept, or at least it is communicated as universal. And neutrality is gone. In order to handle that, we have to sort of do some kind of ontological politics. And that would bring another question that I'm not touching here, that who acts? Who is the actor? And that's also another crucial question in Actor Network theory. Well, I apologize for talking in English because I had prepared it in English. If you speak slowly, I'm quite able to understand Spanish, and I can make also an effort to speak sort of portuñol with you. Thank you.